Hey everyone, my name is REDRUP. This is the It's Not a Phase podcast, and on this episode I am joined by Forlorn vocalist Elliott. We talk all about how the band came to be, why they chose the name Forlorn, starting the band right before all the lockdowns began, bringing paganism into the band's aesthetics, plans for the future, and loads more. Now, if you enjoyed this or any other episode of the podcast and you want to show your support, there's a few ways that you can do that. Number one, leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this. It takes just a few seconds and it really does help. Number two, share this on your social media, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Or number three, if you want to go the extra mile, you can pay a little bit each month to join the Patreon, and in return you'll get access to episodes early along with some other perks, or you can pick up some merch from the store. All the links to that and the podcast socials where you can follow us can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now with all that out of the way, let's jump right into this week's episode of It's Not a Phase. What's up everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of It's Not a Phase. I'm joined by Elliott of Forlorn. How are you doing?
Hey, yes, I'm very, very good. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me this evening. I've been keen to have a chat with you for a while. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying just before we started, known you from when you kind of worked with Nuclear Blast and Basic Records for a little bit. So yeah, it's been a long time coming to actually speak with you properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously thank you for your support as well for the previous singles and for doing, I think you did a premiere for us, didn't you, on Dead Press?
Yeah, it wasn't the first two, was it? It was maybe Colour Loss.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, honestly, my mind is awful. My memory is awful.
How was your Christmas and New Year's? What did you get up to? Anything exciting?
Very chill, to be honest. My mum used to live in France and she moved back this year. So it was our first Christmas kind of as a family with my brothers and that all together. So yeah, very chill. New Year, very chill. Just cooked some tapas because I'm a big foodie. Had a few drinks. Did have a bad hangover. I think I drank a bottle of Malibu. Who drinks Malibu?
Whole bottle. Yeah. So not really a chilled one, at least not for you.
But yeah, no, it was good. It's over in a flash, isn't it? It's crazy. How was yours?
Yeah, mine was all right. I think kind of like yours, just a chilled one. It's all the family.
No Malibu.
No Malibu for me. No bottle full of alcohol consumed for me. But it's my birthday the day before New Year's Eve as well, so it's kind of like a stint of celebrations, I suppose. But yeah, it was a nice end to the year. Yeah,
no, it was good. But yeah, there's just New Year's here and there's just so much happening this year. It's crazy and overwhelming.
So with Forlorn being, a band very young and in its infancy at the moment, there's probably going to be quite a few people listening to this who don't know who you guys are, what you're all about. So kind of going back to the beginning, can you tell me how Forlorn came to be and how the band formed?
Yeah, definitely. So when Forlorn started, we had two vocalists. So it was myself and my friend Will. I had been in a band called My Bitter Half with Will, and there was kind of that, did its thing and ended. But Will had a lot of material left over that he'd written for that band, and he always wanted to do something with it. So we kind of met up, I think it was 2019 maybe, and just discussed it really. We're just should we make another project? And we did. And then it was just a case of finding the other members really. So he knew Ed, one of our guitarists already from previous bands. And then the same with Jay, our drummer. Will knew him as well from previous bands. And then Ethan, I think Ethan was the other guitarist as part of the tech scene, UKTM scene. So we found him that way. And then James, the bassist, I think we found on Join My Band or something. So yeah, Will had written a load of these songs, and then it was a case of us all coming together and developing them, rewriting them. Some we kept, some we didn't. And then really just kind of finding George, our producer at the time, and taking all the songs apart, putting them back together. It was a bit chaotic to begin with because we had so many different influences. And it was only really when we started recording with George that we were wow, we really need to streamline this.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge thing for us, really trying to figure out what sounds we wanted. Basically writing our rule book, I suppose.
Yeah. So this previous band you mentioned, was it, you say My Bitter Half?
Yeah.
So was that kind of in a similar vein to at least what the beginning of Forlorn was, or was it kind of something a little different?
Oh, it was definitely a hardcore band.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was a confused hardcore band, I suppose. There were a lot of like post elements in there, post metal elements, but yeah, it was mostly a lot of hardcore riffs, really. So yeah, I think Forlorn really was intended to be a new entity, but obviously because both Will and I had been in that previous band, it took a while to kind of detach from that, if you will.
And why did you settle on the name Forlorn for the band? Where did that come from?
I think that was me, actually. I just wanted a one word band name, and I guess it just seemed to fit the vibe, really, embody what the band was about, what the tracks were about. Because in the beginnings, like the tracks were quite a lot about like nature and the destruction of nature and our sort of the part that we play in that. So yeah, that was definitely the vibe to begin with. So very Forlorn.
Well, a lot of the greatest bands are one-word names. You've got Slipknot, Korn, Deftones, Gojira.
Don't forget Metallica.
Metallica as well.
Loathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy, but sometimes it's quite hard to say, as it's like Forlorn. Forlorn.
Yeah. Have you had many people kind of pronounce it wrong?
Yeah, they're like, how's that spelled?
At least they're not spelling it like a lawn, like you mow a lawn.
Just a four.
Yeah, Forlorn. So 4chan Forlorn.
My brother calls us Forlorn because he says he says that I have a West Country accent when I do interviews, and he's like, "Hi, my name's Megan, and I'm from Forlorn."
I'll do that accent for the rest of this podcast now to prove I'm right.
No.
So you guys put out your debut double single, Erased Emotionless, in February 2020. In the grand scheme of things, that's still a short space of time for, the life of a band, that you can call it.
Yeah.
A lot of things have changed since then, not only like in the world, but with you guys. How do you feel when you look back at those singles now? Do you think they kind of represented like the foundations of the band pretty well and kind of achieved what you were hoping that they would do? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Erased for me is still like one of my favorite songs. It always seems to go down really well live. I love it. It's a real kind of post-metal emotional track. So yeah, that definitely is still very like Forlorn. Emotionless, no. There's a lot of like hardcore riffing in that, and that's not really us at this point. So Erased, definitely. Emotionless, like we still play live, kind of like as an additional song, if people are asking for it. But yeah, we still have that one in the bank. But I think Erased is probably still quite representational. But that's me. The guys would, may well disagree.
Yeah.
I really like that song.
I guess that kind of represents, your influences. Because I know you're like a Devil Soul Soul fan and Oathbreaker fan. That kind of shows that kind of side of your tastes as well.
Yes. Yeah. I think like when we first heard that song, because obviously that was like the first one we tracked with George, and after hearing like him slowly start to work on it, it was incredible at that time to hear that, to hear like the little elements he'd added into it and stuff. And yeah, that was a really exciting time. We've got a few plans with that song, other things that we can do with it. So
keep an eye out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
And then, very shortly after that, you kind of like debuted the band, and then, as everyone knows, the world kind of shut down. Mm-hmm. So, someone had to pump the brakes for you before you guys could even really get started. How much did that kind of impact you and your plans that I imagine you already had set in motion for what would come the months after? Yeah,
so we really wanted to be like gigging by June of that year, June 2020. That was the plan. So yeah, obviously live shows didn't happen, but I think we still managed to do a fair bit. We still managed to put out, the follow-ups. So like Forsaken, Colour Lost. I can't remember when Colour Lost was filmed during the COVID, timeline. So we still managed to do a fair bit in terms of like recording and that, from what I remember. I really need to go back and look at dates. But it really did give us a good chance to kind of like take a step back and evaluate what kind of sound we wanted to go for. Because at this point we were still very much like, oh, is it post-metal? Is it hardcore? We were still quite confused on that front. So it did give us a chance to really like fine-tune things. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough to keep on going, really, because kind of a lot of your fan base comes from playing live. And so it took quite a while to really build like a circle of listeners, I suppose. So that was quite a slow process. And even like working what we were going to like put out online and what content we're going to post and how we're going to keep up engagement. And, we started doing like 5 riffs I love to play videos and like top 10 influences and all that stuff just to still have a presence, I guess.
Yeah, that's the struggle, isn't it? Because if you're touring, then you've got all the content from when you're on the road, whereas you literally aren't on the road. You've not had the chance to go on the road. So you're creating all this content from scratch, and you've got to do it because you need to stay relevant. If you don't post for 4, 5, 6 months and you're a relatively new band to begin with, then people unfortunately forget. Exactly.
Yeah, that's just the way it is now. So it really was tough, but it happened and we're still here. And, we're in a really good place, I think. So I'm just glad that we stuck together, I suppose. I mean, obviously a few changes did happen, but yeah.
And I guess it must have been a great feeling when obviously restrictions lifted and you could tour again. Those listeners and those fans converted from you just seeing numbers and names on a screen to faces in a crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, our first gig was, because we did have a few gigs penciled in 2021. I'm just having to look back at dates. Yeah, we had a few things penciled that got cancelled, so I think we were going to do, one of our first gigs was going to be Reading Rising. I think that was in December 2021. And it was still a bit risky. This is when venues first kind of started having gigs again, I suppose. And it was still quite a risk at that time. And so that was cancelled fairly short notice. And then we had another one penciled in Southampton. And then there was that storm. Storm Eunice. Yeah. So that didn't happen. And so it wasn't until March last year that we did our first gig, and that was with Svalbard. So it was almost like it was worth the wait. That was, for me, that was a killer first show.
2 whole years of having to wait. That must have been so frustrating.
Oh, the nerves were unreal, like mental. That in itself was a massive learning experience as well. Every gig is.
Well, especially with like a band like Svalbard, they're quite well respected, especially in the UK, and to be able to make your first show supporting them, what a way to debut.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So I'm chuffed about that.
Yeah.
And then, suddenly we were touring with Devil Sort of Soul. So again, like we played one show and then it's like, shit, we're going on tour, for a week. So that was crazy as well.
Yeah. And with a band like Devil Sort of Soul, who again are well respected, especially within the UK. So
yeah, and then gigs just sort of started to drip feed, I suppose, from that. Yeah. And it was a pretty busy year in the end. Yeah, did some good stuff. But yeah, that tour, we learned so much. So yeah, it's all worth doing.
Yeah, you mentioned that those. Just remember, you said those gigs were coming back in December 2021. I think that was when they were doing seated gigs, wasn't it? Like seated distance.
It might have been before then, to be honest. It probably was before then. The whole COVID time period is just such a kind of surreal blur now, to be honest.
Yeah, which is crazy to think that, because at the time it was everything was just so static because it was just the same thing over and over again. But I think because it was the same thing over and over again, when you look back, it just seems like it was such a, like you say, a blur.
Yeah, exactly. That's why all my, when I try and think about dates and stuff, I have to physically write stuff down to remember it all.
And then, of course, when you guys returned, you mentioned Will earlier, he stepped away from the band, making you the sole vocalist. How was that change for you, having to, take that responsibility on your own going forward?
So I was definitely quite nervous about the live aspect, because we were still playing all of kind of the stuff that had Will on it. And obviously most of that was written for 2 vocalists. So I was a bit worried about how I was going to manage it.
Yeah.
I suppose stamina wise as well, because I'm not a seasoned gigger, is that the word? At all, or even a seasoned vocalist. So I was very much worried about whether I would be any good at kind of doing all of that, his parts and my parts. And obviously we've got Ed, who's a great vocalist on guitar, and he does do some of Will's parts, but he wanted to really kind of focus on playing guitar. So yeah, I was definitely worried about that, I think. But I've never had the chance to just do it on my own, because obviously I had the band with Will before. And again, that was 2 vocalists. So I kind of always had him as a crutch, I guess. But yeah, I'm really happy now, kind of it's given me a lot of confidence as well. and helped me develop a lot vocally. It was difficult to kind of part ways, I guess, because Will was a really, really close friend. So having friendship affected by the band and stuff was difficult. But, you know, we're both happy as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, because he had his other band, well, he's still in it, isn't he? Defences. I just assumed it was because he can't focus time on both bands and that's the band he chose.
Yeah, I don't know really. He was definitely getting busier with Defences, but I think we just all seemed to be on different paths really. And so sort of around the time of the release of Colour Lost, we just kind of made the decision to go our separate ways. And here we are.
And I guess it's around that time is also when you guys started introducing kind of this new era of the band where you kind of, not just musically, but, you know, you've got aesthetically the more like pagan aesthetics, you know, the videos, the artwork, the promo shots. When did that idea start to form as to take that kind of direction with where the band would go?
So really the Colour Lost video, there's a lot of scenes kind of outside, proper floaty, ethereal parts, especially in the chorus of that song. And I think a few people like mentioned about how that kind of summery, ethereal look really suited the band. And so we just decided to go a bit further down that rabbit hole. And like being like a pagan myself and being brought up with that lifestyle, it just kind of fell into place, I suppose. So yeah, I think we just thought that we would go further down that route. And then it was Alex Baker from Kerrang that described us as midsummer metal. And we kind of clutched onto that. And now with our manager as well, Tony, she's, you know, kind of a witch too. So bringing those elements in just kind of made sense. And she was really, you know, she knows so much more about that stuff than I do. And she was able to kind of help us do that aesthetic tastefully and properly.
Yeah.
And make it make sense with the songs too and the lyrical concept.
I guess that kind of helps you as well. Like you say, you're a pagan yourself, and you also have your kind of like your side hustle of your dried flower business as well. When you've got obviously the floral crown videos and shots and stuff. How is it for you to, you know, bring those kind of aspects of your life and your identity into the band as well? So
nice. Really nice to be able to do that and just to completely kind of be me, I guess. And I think as well, like, I think we played that one show as Svalbard and I was wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, well, like a kind of top. And then after that, I was just like, I'm going to wear dresses. And it just totally kind of transformed things and flower crowns, obviously. And the way I feel so much more like free on stage, I guess, and making it a whole kind of performance and adding in that little bit of like theatre and stuff just elevates it massively. And I can kind of like feel that within myself, I guess, that it's very much me. You know, I guess there are bands that wear like all black or whatever, and that's cool and that works for them. But I think for us, we just wanted to do something a little bit different with our music and look, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, it's great. I love making all the dried flower stuff, the videos and that. It's really cool. And it's so natural looking as well, you know. I think it's really important to make use of like the band members' abilities and stuff, you know. So if someone can do one thing, then cool, let's incorporate it. Let's incorporate dried flowers and whatever.
I mean, as well, like, you know, you mentioned the comparisons you get to, you know, Midsummer. I mean, I guess that's the easiest comparison that people can make because, you know, Midsummer was a big film. Yeah. It's a great film. And I guess people don't really like to think of it as a business, but, you know, bands and music is a business. And I guess that kind of helps people to easily identify you with the aesthetics because what other bands are doing that. And when you go and see you guys live, they can easily refer to you as, oh, that band that had the flowers was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important nowadays to carve out your own brand. You know, I guess as business-like as it sounds, like that is important. So yeah, I'm quite happy that we've managed to kind of nail that quite early on, I suppose. You know, that's not to say that this is going to be our look forever, but at the moment it's working and we're all comfortable with it. So
yeah, like you say, it carves out your niche. And again, you know, echoing you, if you want to be a band that wears all black, then that's absolutely fine. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to find it twice as hard to market yourself because think about how many other bands are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You're also signed to the label Silent Cult. What's it like working with them?
Awesome. Well, basically, I knew Steph. So it's Steph and Alex that run it. I met Steph when I was working at Basic. And then the same with Alex, actually. So I knew them anyway. And I think I just reached out to Steph to ask how we go about like pitching for Spotify playlisting. And then she mentioned that was like kind of part of her day job. But obviously, if you're with a label, then that's sort of part of it. And then just basically asked if we wanted to set up a call, and we did. So we did. We've done Forsaken, Colour Lost, well, all of the songs basically so far, apart from Erased and Emotionless. But yeah, they're really, really helpful in terms of pitching for playlisting, the contacts they've got, and they help us with publishing too, marketing, and they give us help with, because obviously we've got a guy doing a lovely chap doing PR now, so they help us. Obviously, that's something that we have to fund. So just getting a little bit of help from those guys with that as well. So yeah, they're definitely really, really helpful. Obviously, physicals is not something we've done with them as yet. It's not part of the deal that we've got. But you never know. Wink, wink.
Big things are coming.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the next step, putting out a physical release, a longer release, because we've just been drip feeding singles, which definitely works to a point. But, I get the impression that people are excited for something, a body of work.
So what's that going to look like, do you think? Is it going to be, and I guess maybe you can't say too much about it right now, but is it going to be your work so far kind of in one physical collection? Is it going to be new material?
A bit of both, I would say, yeah. So there's going to be, I think, an element of the first thing you said. and then, yeah, obviously we are back in the studio in July to record, a full body of work. So that'll be great. But yeah, and we've got another single out on the 6th of Feb, which I literally just finished watching the first draft of the music video before our call. So yeah, doing all of that as well. But yeah, I am looking forward to putting out, a full piece.
And you say that's going to be some kind of like some form of EP or?
Yeah. I think we're going in to do about 5 tracks, but then probably kind of focus on making it a bit of a conceptual piece. So there'll likely be interludes and things like that.
And is it still George Levy you're working with, or are you going with someone else?
Yeah, we're actually going to be working with Sam Blore for this next release. We really love his work, and the recent work he's done with Graphic Nature as well. We just absolutely loved that. So we just felt it was the right time to kind of move on, I guess, and start like the next phase.
Yeah, Sam's based in Stoke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to Staffordshire Uni in Stoke, and he was in a band at the time called, I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, they had a song, and basically I helped make the music video for one of their songs.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've only had one sort of big chat with him so far, like a Zoom call and various emails and stuff. But he seems like a nice guy, very like calm and friendly, I suppose. So yeah, that's like really important for me to, especially for like vocal tracking and stuff. I'm still, it's still a nervy thing to do.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to that.
Not quite ready to work with someone like Ross Robinson then, who kind of screams and yells at you.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you can do better under pressure, can't you?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
See what the future holds.
Do better. So that's going to be cool. So yeah, that's in July. We've penciled in, I think 7 days. So we're going to make it into a little bit of a band holiday as well, because all of our previous recording experiences have been so staggered, and disjointed. We've never done it where we've all been together. So this is going to be really nice, I think. It's always just been like, right, I've got to go off and do my vocal days, and then Jay's doing drums or whatever. So it's going to be nice to have everyone there as part of the process. I think that's really important. Yeah, no, we're actually in the process of looking for Airbnbs and stuff. So yeah, hopefully they'll be reasonably priced so we can all afford it.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if you didn't find anywhere cheap.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It'll be nice to stay up there and do that.
Change of scenery.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously the guys have always come down. George is in Wells in Somerset, which is not too far from me. So the guys have always come down here, or when we went to Middle Farm, that was in Devon. So again, not too far from me. So I think it was a bit of a trek for them. Now it's my turn. But I think Stoke's going to be a bit of a trek for everyone, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, you'll enjoy yourselves. Like I say, make a bit of a holiday out of it, and it'll be a good experience.
Yeah, it's going to be nice as well to go there, and start the project, and then when we leave, actually have the stuff, the tracks done, because these the last 4 songs that we've done, including the one that's to come out, they recorded over like years.
Oh, really?
Like in like different like small sections. So to actually like go there and be like, by the time this week is up, we will have like a finished, we'll have done our bit anyway. That's just an alien concept to us.
They'll actually, all the bits will be made within the same time.
Yeah. I mean, the tracks turned out great. And, I'm glad in a way that we didn't rush certain elements of it, like particularly vocals and stuff. But yeah, it was long and expensive.
Yeah. Well, whilst we're on the subject of the future, you've got this tour coming up next month. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, yeah, it'd be really nice to get back on the road, I think. Obviously, it's a series of weekenders, which is cool. Obviously, the first one is in Bristol, which is like my neck of the woods. The Griffin's a great pub. Spent many evenings there, drinking pints and annoying the barman, like, put on Gojira. So, yeah, that'll be fun. And then one of my friends' bands is opening that. So that'll be good. Then on to Brighton, again, with like playing with Tribe of Ghosts as well, who are currently like internet friends of ours. So it's going to be nice to actually meet them. Yeah, and then we're doing like a lot of like shows up north and stuff, like Leicester. Do you count Leicester as north? Is that middle?
I'm not very good with geography, maybe.
Well, anywhere from here is north, but yeah, we're going up north to do a few shows. We've got like Sheffield. This isn't in any particular order, like Leicester. We've got Sheffield, Northwich. I didn't even know Northwich was a place.
Northwich is where I went to college. And
oh, really? I was like, what do you mean Norwich?
And where you're playing the Salty Dog, my friend manages the pub. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what's their name?
Anthony Ridgway.
Okay, nice.
So
I'm trying to remember that.
I'm hopefully going to make the show, but if not, if you see him, yeah.
How far is that from you then?
Now that I'm in Manchester, it's maybe about a 40-minute train journey or something like that. So it's not too far. It's just the train line to get there. Because I think when you're playing, I think it's on a Sunday.
It is, yeah.
And the trains are always unreliable. But
yeah. What about Sheffield? How far is that?
Yeah, I think that's not too far either. But I'll try and make it to one of them.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That'd be great. Yeah. Do let us know if you intend on coming down.
If I can't make it, then I'm sure you'll come through Manchester at some point anyway. So
yeah. I mean, this is only the beginning of the year, so hopefully there'll be lots more juicy gigs lined up for us.
Well, on that topic, what else have you guys got planned for 2023?
So obviously we've got the next single coming out on the 6th of Feb, and then we've got the tour, and then we've got recording in July, and then we've also got a physical release coming out to kind of act as a stopgap between now and when we release this sample work is what I'm going to call it. So yeah, we've got like a little physical release coming out sort of in between times that should, perhaps provide us another opportunity to do some more shows. But yeah, it'd be great to like just jump on some more gigs, support slots, or, have another band take us out again.
Yeah.
Like Devil did. Like, those kind of support tours is like so important for a band of our kind of level, I guess. So really, like for me personally, that would be the goal, to have someone lovely like, do you want to come on board? And Spirit Box.
Fingers crossed.
Come on, guys. Maybe one day. But yeah, I think just a lot more writing, gigging, and just keep on doing what we're doing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's working.
Keep on meeting people.
It's working so far, so just keep on going.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm really happy with where we're at, and the support we've had as well, like from yourself and like other journalists, and just really nice fans, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for your time today. I appreciate it. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, is there anything else you want to say, plug, anything like that? The floor is yours.
Oh, okay, yeah. It would be really nice to see some of you guys at our upcoming shows in February. That will be good. We're going to have some brand new merch with us as well. Brand new t-shirt that's been designed by Simon Atkinson, which is really cool. And we've also got some little pin badges too. So loads of new stuff to bring with us. And keep an eye out for our new single out on February the 6th. And yeah, there's probably a lot more I could say. And I'll probably remember it in a minute and be like, shit. And just thank you to everyone that's helped us out so far. All the amazing listeners, journalists, our manager, Tony, the label, and Full Stride PR. And thanks to the boys for putting up with me. Yeah, Yeah,
Well,
thank you, Zach.
Yeah, of course. Glad to finally have you on. I'm really excited to hear what this next release is going to be. And as I said before, to hopefully catch you guys either in Sheffield or in Northwich.
Yeah, awesome. No, that sounds really good. Nice to hang out.
Yeah, hopefully see you soon.
Yes, thank you very much.
See you
Take
later.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider supporting the podcast in any way that you can. We have a Patreon where you can get access to each episode a week early, along with some other perks, a merch store, or you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. You can also follow me on social media or subscribe to the newsletter where I'll send out each episode to you via email, along with regular playlists. All of this can be found at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again for listening, and remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.